And let's get started. And that's what I'm going to talk about this evening is some of the most common mistakes in declarer play that I've come across. And obviously, I've come up here with my top 10 list, which is just my opinion of mistakes I see made quite often. If you're watching this video on YouTube and you wish to join in these lessons, send me an email to that address on the screen and I'll add you to my list. So let's talk about some of the most common errors I see. I'll go through these 10 fairly quickly and then we'll look at some examples of them. So just cashing your tricks rather than establishing suits. That's something that beginners tend to do. Leading your honours rather than leading towards your honours. So generally, you're better off if you've got honours in one hand to lead towards them rather than leading those honours. Unless you've got honours in both suits, sometimes it doesn't matter. But otherwise, it is better to lead towards your honours. Another mistake I often see is not finessing when there's an opportunity to, or finessing by leading an honour. And that can be right, it can be okay to do that with certain holdings, but with others it's a mistake. Getting stuck in the wrong hand, I mean, that's something we all happen to us as declarers at some time. We realize we can't get to the other hand and we've got stuck and we weren't taking care of our entries perhaps. And then ducking or not ducking. So not ducking can be a mistake, or ducking when inappropriate can also be a mistake. So those are some of the most common errors. The rest of these errors are related to suit contracts, and I would say the first of them is not drawing trumps. A surprising number of people, delay drawing trumps when there's no real reason to. Conversely, they draw trumps when they have something to do first. So sometimes it's right to draw trumps, and sometimes, as you know, it's right to delay that. Ruffing in the hand with the long trump suit is a very common error I see, or cross-ruffing when that's also not the right line. Ruffing low when you could have ruffed high and you risk being over-ruffed. And when there's a last high trump up, drawing it, that's also another mistake. So that's just my take on some of the most common errors, which I've just called the 10 most common bridge errors. Let's have a look at some examples of these. So let's switch to this screen here. And I'm actually going to start by looking at some hands that were played online in different ways, and we'll see what we think about them. So this was a hand where North opened a club, South I bid a spade, North bid 2 diamonds, and South here then rebid 2 no trump. Now, I think that's a bit of a mistake in the bidding because South has got 14 points. So once their partner opens, they shouldn't be making a bid like 2 no trump, which is just invitational. Anyway, they ended up in 3 no trump. In fact, everyone who played this hand ended up in 3 no trump one way or another. And I'd like us to figure out how the play might go. So let's, on this one, this is actually a recording of how the play did go. So West here led the 4 of hearts, and that's a very favourable lead from the point of view of declarer, because if you look at the heart suit, you'll see you started off with 2 top tricks, but that lead actually gives you a 3rd definite top trick. So what I'd like you to do is count up how many other top tricks you have and what is the total number of top tricks here. And that's the subject of the first poll. Top tricks, tricks you can take right away without losing the lead. And because they've led a heart, we're going to count that as 3 heart tricks. Count the rest of the tricks. And the poll question is, how many top tricks do you think you now have? Okay, let's have a look at the results. And the 2 most popular answers are 7 and 6, with a small number voting for 8 or 9. So let's see what we think. Well, I've said we can count 3 tricks in hearts because no matter where the queen is, we've got 3 tricks there. apart from those three hearts, we also have three diamonds and we have one club. So yes, I agree that you have seven top tricks here. Now, clearly, there's an opportunity for more, especially in spades and especially in clubs. Um, Probably not a chance for any more really in diamonds because we've got the top three diamonds, but we only have six cards. So someone's got at least a four card suit. So unless we're very lucky, we'll only make three diamonds. But I'm going to have a look at a couple of different ways this hand was played. And this declarer started off winning that first trick. They took the jack. And as I said, there are tricks to be made in spades and in clubs, but in each suit, you want to be leading towards the strength. So if you're playing spades, you want to be leading the six of spades towards your queen and king in your hand. And if you're playing in clubs, you want to be finessing, really, leading the 10 of clubs, perhaps. But this declarer didn't do that. This declarer led the honors from not towards her honors, but led her honors herself. And this is how it went. He lost to the ace there. A heart came back, which she won. And now she's playing diamonds. And you can cash your diamonds, but you're almost certainly only going to make three. And it's probably much better to be focusing on your clubs and your spades here. So this is what happened. They cashed two diamonds. They played a third round of diamonds, and then I think declarer lost track of the diamonds because they played a fourth round, which lost to East. They now played their last heart. Declarer's won six tricks so far, and the king of spades is good, and she can make some clubs, but it was played very poorly here. He didn't try the finesse, just cashed the ace of clubs, and of course played a club on the way back, which was lost. And now the opponents were able to take a heart. Then finally they had to switch to a spade, and declarer just made the contract, making 9 tricks there. But really it was not really played very well. Let's have a look at another example. The same hand was played. This time the bidding was slightly different, and it was played by North. Again, they led a heart, and again, that gives declarer 3 tricks in the heart suit. And this declarer started off by leading the 5 of clubs from dummy. And I know if I sometimes say to people, why did you lead the club, the 5 of clubs there? And they'll say, well, I was trying to flush out the king, which you are doing, but you're going to lose a trick to the king, of course, if you play that way. And that's what happened here. They carried on in with another club, and this declarer again made a similar mistake of leading the king of spades rather than leading towards the honors. They played the queen, and East took that. I'll just bring up the 4 hands at this point, and East continued with another spade, and that allowed their partner to make the jack and the 9. So after this, declarer, they can't make any more, but declarer was again held to just 9 tricks. I'll just look at how it was played a third time, which was played much better. Again, they led a heart here, and declarer wins the first trick with a jack. And now you're in your hand. This is a time, of course, to play clubs, because you need to finesse in clubs. So they led the 10 of clubs, and the finesse succeeded. They carried on and picked up the king. And this declarer carried on with more clubs, which is fine. The opponents may end up discarding things. And now they're in dummy. They led the 6 of spades. And this particular defender actually went up with the ace. They got 1 trick there. But now I hope you can see that the rest of the tricks are now good for declarer. So whatever happens now, declarer can make the rest and made 12 tricks. And it should make 12 tricks with the way the cards lie, only losing 1 trick to the ace of spades. So that you may think was reasonably straightforward, although a lot of people, did the wrong thing and didn't make 12 tricks there, didn't get a good result. Let's try another one. Let's look at this one that was generally played in 3 no trump. And the opponents here led the queen of diamonds. And as is usual in a suit contract, we're going to count our top tricks. So we've got 4 club tricks, 2 diamond tricks, 1 trick in hearts, and 1 trick in spades. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And really, unless a sort of miracle happens somewhere, we're probably the only other chance to make a trick is with the queen of spades. But you can only really make a trick with the queen of spades if the king is in the west hand. And I'll just show you how this declarer played it. So they took the first trick, they cashed their clubs, and then at some point they led the queen of spades. Now, leaning the queen of spades against a defence who are on the ball is actually a hopeless play. It will never make a trick. And if East is on the ball when the queen is played, East should definitely cover an honour with an honour, as it may promote a trick for your side. The only time that leading the queen of spades could gain is if East has the king and doesn't play it because they think it's going to get beaten. But if the defence plays correctly, you'll never make a trick in spades by playing the spades this way. And indeed, that's what happened. And now all they've done is promoted spades for the defence. So all declarer can do is take 8 tricks there, and then the defence will get in and make the rest, and you'll be down 1. On this layout, the only legitimate chance to make a trick with the queen of spades is really if the king is on your left. And then you can legitimately make a trick if you lead towards it. So if you play it like this, take your clubs and then lead a spade, you will make a trick with the queen if the king is on your left. But you would never make a trick with the queen against correct defense by leading that. So whether they play the king or not, you'll get 1 trick now with your queen. So played that way, you would make 9 tricks there if the king is on your left. Any comments or questions on that? So I hope that's answered your. That's an example of not leading an honour. Of course, if you have a spade holding like this, where you've got the queen in dummy and the ace jack 10, now it's absolutely fine to lead the queen because if they cover with the king, it will promote your jack and 10. So played that way, what you would do is at some point lead the queen, and if they cover this time, you'll take your ace and you'll get 2 more spade tricks now. So do watch out for that. Some people think leading the queen when that's your only honor apart from the ace, that's a finesse, but it's really not. Let's try another one here. And here you open 2 no trump, which is showing a balanced hand with 20 to 22 points. Your partner goes to 3 no trump, and the opponents lead a spade, and they lead the 3 of spades. And I'd like you to stop and try and make a plan here. Try and count your top tricks and then look at opportunities for more. And you play the 6 from dummy, and East plays the queen. And I've got the second poll for you here. What should you play from the south hand? Should you play the ace or the 10 here? And 66% have gone for the ace, and 34% have gone for the 10. And let's find the right board. Let's switch back. Yes. And well, we're used to thinking about ducking in a situation like this, but this hand is a little bit different because you've got the jack and the 10 of spades. And in fact, what that means is that you have a second stopper in the suit, but only if you take your ace. Um, so if I click on the GIB button, you can see that it's telling me I can make two over tricks if I take the ace here, but I can be defeated if I play the 10. Because I've got the 10 and the jack, I have a definite stopper, but I must not duck here. I must take the ace here. And it leads to a difference of three tricks. So I take the ace here. And now, because I've still got the 10 and the jack, I've got another stopper. So when I play the diamonds and the opponents get in, they can play the top spade, but I've got another trick. I've got the jack there. So whatever they play now, I've got the jack, and now I can take the rest of the diamonds and however many hearts are available to cash, I can take, and the clubs as well. So played that way, I can make 11 tricks. So do look out for holdings like that, where you can actually gain a trick if you beat an honor, because it will promote something that you have. And there's a similar story if I have a slightly weaker holding. Here I've got the ace and the 9 and the jack in dummy. And if they lead a low spade here, the fourth higher spade, then if I play low from dummy here and they play the queen, that lead and the play to the first trick makes it very likely that West has got the king. And that means that my jack will also be a stopper, but again, only if I play the ace here. If I play low, then I only have one stopper and I won't be able to, they'll run the spades when they get in with their ace of diamonds. So again, it's not right to duck there. Play your ace there, then you can play the diamonds as before. And whenever they get in, it's very likely based on that lead and the play that West has got the king. So your jack is a second stopper because the ace and the queen have also gone. So again, you can get in, and as before, you'll be able to run your other tricks and again make 11 tricks there. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Let's have a look at this one here, and I'd like to start with the bidding problem here. South here, your partner opens one club, and West bids one spade, an overcall. And I'd like you to think about what you think North should bid with this hand. The bidding is pretty much the same whether you're playing ACOL or 5-card majors here. What do you think North should bid with this hand? And here comes the poll. There are quite a lot of choices, so do scroll down if you don't see your choice. And the question is, what do you think North should bid with this hand? You may need to scroll down to see all the choices. Let's have a look at the results. And most of you have gone for double. That was 56%, with choices for 2 hearts, 2 diamonds, and 2 clubs. And let's switch back and see what we think. Well, this hand is actually a perfect hand for a negative or Sputnik double, because a double in that situation, when your partners open the bidding, shows the 2 unbid suits, diamonds and hearts. And in particular, it promises 4 cards in any unbid major. So double is perfect on this hand. My second choice would be 2 diamonds, but that obviously doesn't get the hearts in. And a much better bid is, of course, double, which shows hearts and diamonds. You have clubs as well here, but I'm not going to support clubs because I don't really want to suggest that we play in clubs when we may have a much better chance to play in a heart suit. So yes, double is right there. And the bidding then continues. South bids 3 hearts, North bids 4 hearts, and the opponents lead the ace of spades. And I'd like you to think about how you're going to play this hand. This is a time to pause and make a plan. And there are different approaches on this hand. You could, for example, well, let's suppose the opponents win the ace of spades and then play the queen of diamonds. So how are you going to play this? I can see opportunities to ruff spades in dummy. Should we do that? Or should we ruff diamonds in our own hand? Or should we just draw trump first? Or should we not draw trump and maybe just cross ruff the diamonds and the spades? So have a think about which is the best line here. And in a moment, I'm going to launch a poll, and that's going to be the question. How are you going to play this? Let's have a look at the results. And we've got the most popular response is cross-ruffing, followed by drawing trumps first, followed by ruffing spades, followed by ruffing diamonds. So let's switch back and see what we think. Well, especially on a hand like this, where you've got equal trump length, 4 in each hand, it's worth considering it from both hands' point of view. So if I look at this from the south hand's point of view, I can see I have some spade losers here, 3 spade losers. I don't expect any heart losers, and I don't have any diamond or club losers. In fact, I'll be able to discard something on the king of diamonds, so I could discard a spade. So you might be thinking of ruffing 2 spades in dummy. Or we can look at it from the point of view of the north hand, making north what's called the master hand. And in that case, my only losers are, again, no hearts, no clubs, just 2 diamond losers. And I think that is a much better prospect to avoid the diamond losers by ruffing twice. Why? Well, partly because of the bidding, because West overcalled in spades, it means that if I lead spades and try to ruff, they may well be over-ruffed because East is probably short in spades. So I think ruffing diamonds is a good option here. Cross-ruffing, when this hand was played, was actually the most common line, and that is a poor choice. Cross-ruffing, in the sense of not drawing trumps at all, is poor because you have 4 club tricks, and you will never be able to cash those unless you draw the opponent's trumps. So on this hand, we'll look at it played a couple of different ways. But on this hand, quite a lot of people started by cross-ruffing. And let's see how that goes. Let's actually bring up the 4 hands and see what happens. This is how it was played one time. North declare a 1 with the ace, cash a king of diamonds, discarding a spade. Then they ruffed a diamond. And then they ruffed a spade. They're cross-ruffing. It sort of seems to be like an instinct. They ruffed another diamond. And this time they actually guessed to ruff high. They ruffed with the ace. I hope you can see that if they had made the mistake of ruffing low, it could have been over-ruffed. So that was a good guess, if you like. And then they ruffed their last spade. And although they can do that, what they've done is they've shortened their trump holding in both hands. You've only got 2 trumps left in the north hand and the south hand, whereas East has got 3 trump left. So you have lost control of trump, and you can never now draw trump so that you can cash your clubs. And so what happened was they tried cashing clubs, when they did, West ruffed there, switched back to a spade, and although you're able to ruff that, you're not able to draw the opponent's trumps. You just draw 2 rounds and they ruff the last one. So played that way, they only made 10 tricks here. This hand is relatively easy to make as long as you make your plan to ruff the 2 diamonds. And this is how it should go. This is how it was played one time. They took the ace of diamonds, and what you're planning to do here is at some point draw trump. Use the north hand to draw trump. So it's a mistake here to cash the king of diamonds. What you do is you just ruff those 2 diamonds as soon as you can, So you rough the first one with the 7. Now, because I want to get back to the north hand, I can draw a round of trump. I still have trump left to rough that 3 of diamonds, which I rough. Having done that, I'm now just want to draw the opponent's trump. So I cash 1 round. There's still a trump out, and I have a slight difficulty getting back to the north hand. But because there is only 1 trump out, I can get there with a spade rough. I'm not roughing spades here as a cross rough to gain any extra tricks. I'm just roughing a spade as the only way to get back to the north hand so that I can now draw the opponent's last trump. And now I cash my king of diamonds and claim 12 tricks. So a lot of people didn't make 12 tricks. They tried, an inferior line of play, but really roughing diamonds here, which only a small percentage of you chose, is really the right line here. Not cross roughing and not roughing spades and not drawing trumps, because if you want to draw trumps, you'll have to draw them in 3 rounds if you draw 3 rounds, and you'll be left with at least 1 diamond loser there. Finally, let's have a look at another one that was...
Tony,
Yeah.
could I ask you,
Yeah.
after the North's double,
Yeah.
why did South go to 3 hearts rather than 2 hearts?
Okay, good question. Yeah, sorry. South has only got 14 points, so they've got a minimum hand. On the other hand, if they count, so with a minimum hand, you would just bid 2 hearts. But here, I think you should upgrade your hand because of the singleton. And if you look at your losers, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losers only, rather than the minimum hand for opener, which will be 7 losers. So that's why I would recommend. I think 3 hearts is a better bid there. That's showing a bit of extra strength. You'd probably have 4 hearts either way, but yeah, that was a good question. Thank you. And finally, let's have a look at this one here. That was generally played in 4 hearts, and this was how it was on one occasion. South opened a heart, a spade, 2 clubs, 3 hearts, and 4 hearts. And the opponents led the ace of diamonds. And in a suit contract, we're going to start by making a plan and trying to work out how many potential losers we have here. So count your losers. Here we're going to count them from the point of view of the south hand, because you've got longer trumps there, taking into account all the strength in the north hand. And the last poll of the evening is how many potential losers might you have here? And nearly all of you have gone for 2, 76%, but there's votes for everything else. And if you did come up with a number other than 2, I strongly suggest you try replaying this and think about counting your losers, because the answer is 2. You've got no spade losers apart from the ace. You might lose to the king of hearts. No diamond losers because you can rough. And almost certainly no club losers. You could imagine some club holding where you might have a loser, but generally, I would look at that. I think I'm going to make all those clubs, barring some calamity. I think it's 2 likely losers, 1 definite loser, the ace of spades, and 1 possible loser, the king of hearts. Let's see how it went. I'll look at how it went played on a couple of occasions. This one, they led the ace of diamonds and they roughed. And this declarer, well, they started off by leading a low heart. So that's a first mistake. It guarantees that you're going to lose a heart trick here rather than trying the finesse. And so you lost to the king. Back comes the queen of diamonds, which they roughed that one, and then they played a heart. I'll just bring up the 4 hands at this point, and there's 1 heart still outstanding, but maybe because they didn't want to draw their last trump and they haven't set up the spades, they decided to play spades at this point. But the opponents got in and now played another diamond, which you were able to rough. Now declarer should have a good chance to make the remaining tricks, but all they want to do is draw that last trump. But this declarer didn't do that. They cashed spades. Maybe they lost track of trump, and it allowed the opponents to get in with their last trump. And they played another diamond, which declarer was able to ruff. But although declarer makes the rest, they're held to 10 tricks. Okay. So it was interesting. It was played in a variety of ways here. Let's have a look at another time it was played. Sorry, yeah, this one I want to look at. So let's rewind that. This declarer, I mean, here the bidding was very poor, and they ended up in 2 hearts where they should have been in 4 hearts. The opponents again started with a diamond that was ruffed, and this declarer started by playing clubs, which is a sort of, I don't know. Well, they play clubs so that they can lead diamonds from dummy and ruff them. But here again, they're ruffing in the hand with a long trump suit, and although you can do it, you're just shortening your trump holding. They led a club back, they led another diamond, which are able to ruff, and then they tried to establish the spades. The opponents got in and played another club. East played another club, and of course that led to a ruff by West. West now played a diamond, and although declarer is able to ruff that, declarer has once again lost control of trump. They have just 2 trump in each hand, while East has 3. So although here the finesse succeeded, they're not able to draw the last trump. They played their spades, but at some point East was able to ruff, and although South overruffed, it promoted the king of hearts, and East here made 1 more trick, and again held declarer to 10 tricks. I mean, this was a hand really that was pretty straightforward, as long as you follow the basics. So if you just ruff the first one. Now, this particular declarer led a spade. I think I would have started off by leading a club to dummy so that I can finesse, but they led the spade to the 10, and now they're in dummy. They led the queen of hearts and successfully finessed the queen. They carried on there. The king is played now, and declarer now drew the last trump. And now it's relatively straightforward. You've still got a spade to lose, but this particular declarer, while they still have a trump, they just played their clubs, cashed all their clubs, and once the clubs are cashed, they led a spade. Of course, they lost to the ace, but they've still got a trump left, and relatively straightforward to only lose 1 trick. But quite a lot of people, by I think mainly focusing on ruffing the diamonds, managed to not make 12 tricks. A lot of people made 10 tricks, 1 even went down. But things like losing control of trump, ruffing in the long hand, these are all what I often see as some of the most common mistakes in a suit contract.